Shalom, family. Good to see everybody here. Hope you're all doing well. We're going to talk about the ceasefire. Donald Trump had called a ceasefire for Israel and Iran, and the ceasefire was breached, but Donald Trump is not happy. So, what happened was they called a ceasefire for 12 hours. And an hour into the ceasefire, Iran fired a rocket and it hit an apartment building. And I believe they're saying 4 people died. Well, this morning, Israel sent a big barrage of, of missiles over to Iran. So technically, the ceasefire was a bust. So Donald Trump, of course, is mad that he called this ceasefire and it was violated almost immediately. But I don't know why Donald Trump is shocked. And this is why I'm saying this. There have been multiple ceasefires for Gaza, and Israel damn near broke all of them. So, what made Donald Trump think Israel was going to follow a ceasefire with Iran when they have never followed a ceasefire with anyone? But all of a sudden they're going to follow a ceasefire? Come on. I'm not surprised that it was broken at all. So he's all upset. I'm going to show you a video clip of him, and he drops the F bomb, y'all. So just to let you know, he drops the F bomb. So I have actually 2 videos that I need to show you. No. Wait, hold on one second. All right, here we go. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Okay. All right, y'all. So Donald Trump was on his way to boarding Air Force One, and he stopped to address questions that reporters had about the ceasefire he called. So you're going to listen to how he responds.
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too. Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have 2 countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
So, as you can see, Donald Trump dropped the F bomb. He was that upset that they did not follow his ceasefire. So, I mean, this is from a man that don't follow any rule whatsoever, but he's upset when people don't follow his rules. So, I do have one more video I'm going to show you. And this is from France 24. So you can see other reactions. Okay, y'all. All right, let's do it.
Let's go now live to Jerusalem, where France 24's Noga Tarnopolsky is standing by. Noga, this is a rapidly developing story. A lot of things have happened over the past couple of hours. Boil it down for us, if you will. What's the very latest?
Well, I could boil it down just by saying Donald Trump woke up and he didn't like what he saw. This is the messy Middle East. I mean, it's hard to know where this will go. And Donald Trump may also just get bored, as he seems to have gotten bored with the Gaza quagmire, where initially he said he was going to, make peace in a day. Then he said he was going to turn it into a resort enclave. And then he seems to have forgotten about it. But regarding today, Israel and Iran were hit very hard by each other. Israel with missiles, including, as you just quoted the president saying, a 400-kilo Radar missile that was a direct hit on the safe rooms, on the bomb shelters of some flats in Beersheba. At least 4 people are dead there. Israel hit Tehran and other sites in Iran very hard. The Israel Defense Forces said that it hit ballistic missile storage sites, launching pads, launchers, and one nuclear scientist whose name I haven't yet been able to get. And then Donald Trump announced the ceasefire. It seems to have been something almost unilateral. He seems to have informed both parties that he wanted the ceasefire and understood from both parties that it was a thumbs up on that. But, these ceasefires tend to be very, very ragged, and we have to see. The Israelis may have made a small tactical error today by coming out really strong. Immediately, once this missile was directed over the northern Israel, both the defense minister and the chief of staff of the Israeli army made very bombastic announcements about very powerful Israeli retaliation they were planning in Tehran, but that retaliation has not yet been launched. And so they're now caught in the middle, criticized by the American president for having done something that they just planned but haven't yet done.
Indeed. And Donald Trump on his Truth Social said something like, Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do, it is a major violation. Bring your pilots home now. A quagmire, as you said. Absolutely. I mean, where does this leave the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu?
It leaves the Israeli prime minister now visibly exposed. I mean, all along from June 13th and the launch of Israel's operation against Iran, it's been clear that Netanyahu took a bet. He made a risky bet, which is that he would be able to persuade Donald Trump to join in the fighting and that would end the nuclear project completely. I think in part when you heard Donald Trump's peek at the questions, the very legitimate questions asked by those journalists, questions we should all be asking and armies and governments should be asking, I think part of his peak is that he feels he was promised, in part by the Israelis, that if he intervened with US B-2 bombers, the Iranian nuclear project would be eradicated, would be over. He clearly believes that it is. To my knowledge, neither the US military nor the Israeli have said that they have that knowledge just yet. And that's a gap between military culture and politics as it is operated today. But in a month or two, this could take time. We may find out that Iran was able to hide its enriched uranium. We may be able to find out that no, that in fact that program was demolished, and we'll have clear results. But in the meanwhile, Prime Minister Netanyahu he risked everything on his relationship with Donald Trump. In recent days, it seemed to have worked out for him because Donald Trump did something no other American president agreed to do, and that is use American forces to attack Iran, a huge diplomatic and personal success for Netanyahu. But now this entire Iran operation is sort of signed by Donald Trump. And so he will have these reactions, and he may not like the fact that Prime Minister Netanyahu is responding principally to domestic needs of his own.
So as you heard, Donald Trump is not happy with Netanyahu. And, the bottom line is it just goes to show you they couldn't even hold out for 12 hours without attacking each other. Now, the case of Iran, just before the ceasefire, they dropped bombs. And then an hour after the ceasefire, that's when a bomb hit an apartment building. Then, first thing in the morning in Israel, Netanyahu went out and they threw like a mega load of bombs down on Iran. So, it just goes to show you the war is so volatile that even somebody like Donald Trump can call for a ceasefire and they're just not going to comply to it. Do I think the war is over? I don't. There are some people that think it is. I'm going to go out on the limb and say no. Even if it kind of tamped down a bit, it's going to get worked up again. It is. It is. So, yeah, I did see what Iran said, yeah, and that was a whole different video. But the bottom line is when that missile, which Israel is saying hit an apartment building, they said they were going to retaliate. They openly said they were going to retaliate, and they did in the morning. So don't look like Donald Trump got control over this ceasefire at all. He doesn't. But see, he's dealing with people that are just like him. Donald Trump don't follow laws. He don't follow policies or rules. And now you're dealing with leaders that don't care about those things either. So now how do you get it all under control? I don't think Donald Trump is the one that can do it. I think you're going to need different negotiators, maybe a combination of negotiators from Iran and Israel. But Donald Trump, we're just seeing where he's falling short on too many things. And I remember when he ran for office, he said he would end the Ukraine-Russia war in 24 hours after taking office. And you can see that never happened. Okay. It never happened. And he tried to get them to stop fighting for a period of time, and that never happened. So Donald Trump don't exactly have a proven track record of negotiating with countries. He doesn't have that. Bringing two warring countries together, he doesn't have that. And as you heard at the very end, the lady said no other US president would drop bombs on Iran on the behalf of Israel. So Donald Trump is by far the first president, the very first to ever do this. A lot of people are very angry with Donald Trump, not only the politicians, because he sidestepped Congress. He was really supposed to go through them, and he didn't. And I know why he didn't, because if he would have went to Congress, I don't think it would have happened. I don't think they would have agreed to drop bombs down on Iran. And he did it at a time when Iran was not even doing anything to the US. And that's why he just did things his own way, because I think deep down inside, he knew he was not going to get what he want if he had gone through Congress. So, yeah, so a lot of people are looking at this as the US doing a very unnecessary attack on Iran. And you heard Tulsi Gabbard, who's his national security, said she didn't find nothing. They did, you know, surveillance and everything on Iran, and they did not find what Donald Trump was claiming, that they had this nuclear bomb or they were in the making of a nuclear bomb. They didn't find nothing. So think about that. They did not find anything, but you went in there and dropped bombs on them anyway. It just looks bad all the way around for the US. It just looks bad. And I was also looking at the reaction of world leaders around the world, and I didn't come across none other than Netanyahu that agreed with what Donald Trump did. All of the rest of the world leaders that I was reading about, they all disagreed with Donald Trump dropping those bombs down on Iran. Netanyahu was the only one that was in agreement. So, I mean, does that make anybody feel good? That Netanyahu was the only one that agreed with those bombs being dropped down on Iran. So, oh well, you can't undo what's done. And I don't know what's wrong with Donald Trump. You can't drop bombs on 3 different locations in Iran and then call for peace the next day. I mean, who does that? Who does that? It's just like if you get jumped the next day, the bully that jumped you said, "Okay, let's make up. Let's be friends." After they jumped you, no, you going to jump their ass right back, right? You going to get them back. Nobody does that. I mean, that doesn't even sound right. That is just not human nature. You don't drop a bomb on somebody and then the next morning tell that country, we must be at peace. We must make peace. Very unrealistic, which leads me to believe that Donald Trump is not a negotiator. Yeah, well, so far the ceasefire is not going well. And, if you look at a lot of the articles that are out today, it just tells you that the ceasefire that Donald Trump called is a complete failure. And it is. At the end of the day, I think the US should have stayed out of the whole thing. But hey, it's within the plans of the Most High that the US be involved. So if that is the case, then everything going as planned. Everything going as planned. We know wars and rumors of wars, and that's what we're seeing. Exactly what we are seeing. Yeah, George W. But the weapons of mass destruction. Yeah, and that was all made up crap too. Yeah, yeah. All garbage, all made up garbage. But America got a long history of lying and then turning around and being violent. Didn't they do that in the case of Black Wall Street? Okay, they fabricated a lie, went in there and dropped bombs on Black Wall Street, destroyed all of them. There were several of them, and all of them were destroyed. So, I mean, look at all the lynchings that took place in America, all based on lies. So America got a long history of lying and then turning around and using violence. It's been the way, you can't complain when people talk about these things, and all of this is in your history. You know, these folks, they can't stand you talking about the history. Woo, they get fired up mad. But one thing y'all don't say in all of your anger is it didn't happen. One thing you don't say, it's a lie, because you know it isn't. But the funny part is you never stop lying in order to justify violence. Your cops do it every day on these streets. Oh, I thought he had a gun. I thought he had a gun. Y'all make up lies, and then you turn around and use some sort of violent force behind your lie. And that's how America has been functioning all this time. So Donald Trump believes something in his mind, just like the white genocide over in South Africa. So he believes something false about Iran, and he went out there and he followed through with bombing without having any good substantial evidence in what he's saying. So he just throws stuff out there and then just back it up with violence. That's the story of America, y'all. That's how it is. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I agree. But y'all, look how messy Donald Trump is. Are you shocked that something he attempted to do failed? I'm not. I'm not. Mhm. Yeah, well, Iran said they are gonna get the US back, and they did send those bombs over to the military base in Qatar, and I don't believe they're done. But we shall see what happens. I don't know. I'm not 100%. I can't 100% say this is the end, because I really don't believe that. Yeah, well, there's a lot of things going on, and some of it could be YouTube, because Carl, a lot of times YouTube don't like what I say. So it's not unusual if it's a content creator and we're speaking on a subject matter that they don't like, that there is some interference on our live streams. It happens to quite a few of us on here. But the people that, if they agree with them and what they say, nothing ever happens to their live streams. Their live streams go smoothly each and every time. But those of us that speak out, and it may be against the system, yeah, they got a problem with that, so they will do all kinds of sabotaging behind the scenes. But, it won't stop me. I mean, there are times when I couldn't get back on my live stream. I'll just shut the mess down and start up another one. I don't let it stop me. I have never before, and I never will now. And you would think war would be the last thing the US want to get involved with after that long stretch with Afghanistan and Iraq, and didn't even win. Didn't win either one of those wars. You would think they would want to take a humble step back and not just dive into another war, but I guess that's just not the case. Not the case. Mhm. So, y'all, I am going to end the live stream. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, if there's another topic, we'll definitely come back again. But y'all have a nice day. If you're on the East Coast or the Midwest, try to stay cool today, because we are going up to 101 degrees. I think we're already there. 101 degrees today. And trust me, it's almost like I have to brace myself to go outside. It is just so hot. Ooh, it's so hot. But y'all have a wonderful day. Shalom, family.